A final score of 82-71 right here in Thompson-Boling Arena. Number 4 Tennessee defeats number 10 Texas. Man, this was a wild game, really, from start to finish, but an electric game, an all-out atmosphere here in Thompson-Boling Arena. But Tennessee does get the 11-point win. Welcome to the Rocky Top Insider postgame show. This is Ryan Shumpert. I'm Rick Butler. Ryan, let me go ahead and just throw 2 names at you, and you pick whichever route you want to go with it, because there's a lot of things to talk about right now. I'll go Zakai Ziegler and Olivia Kamwa. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, as much as I would love to talk about Zakai Ziegler, and he was brilliant tonight, I feel like all I do on here and all I write about these days is how good Zakai Ziegler is and how
the story of the season.
Yeah, and how underrated he is nationally. So I'll start with Olivia Kamwa, who played his best game in a Tennessee jersey tonight. He was absolutely fantastic. Ended up being 27 points, I believe, a career high, in an incredibly efficient shooting night. Did not miss many shots, and ended with 8 or 9 rebounds as well. Got the job done on both ends, and really in a game now kind of broadening the horizon, but 82 points for Tennessee. One of its best offensive performances of the season, if not its best, given the opponent. When Tennessee has its best offensive games this year, they're hitting shots. Threes are going down.
Yeah.
They were 6 of 21 today, which it's not terrible. It's not a bad number. They got interior scoring, and that's how Rick Barnes wants to play. And Olivia Kamwa was the guy that gave it to him. He gave it to him right off the jump in the first half, and I thought really maybe the most impressive stretch of the game for him was right at the start of the second half. It was a tight game, or not a tight game, but right above 10 points. Texas's offense was playing well, which would turn out to be a common theme in the second half. He scored 3 straight baskets for Tennessee, and it showed that first half was not a fluke. It was going to be a continuation of that, and he was really, really good in the second half. He was really, really good all night.
You know, the 2 kind of words that come to my head when I think about, and this was talked about a lot during the post-game press conferences, but 2 things kind of come to my mind. One, spacing. I thought that he did a really good job of just kind of finding the right position on the court today, and that's something that Coach Barnes talked about after the game, was that he was in the right spot. He was kind of able to move his defender, move around in the spacing, move around with the flow of the offense, and get himself in a position where he could be able to be successful. The other thing I think that really impacted his game tonight was just the ability to be patient, right? Yes, he did end up shooting the ball 15 times, and actually 12 of 15, like you had mentioned a second ago, 27 points. So yes, he was very involved in the game, but it wasn't rushed. It wasn't in a forced kind of way. He sat back, again, found good spacing on the floor, was patient with the offense, and then things just started to keep coming to him. I remember there was one spot late in the game where right here on the court, Zakai Ziegler had it at the top of the key. They kind of just moved the defense around with some passes, and then Olivia was just in the right spot right here in the paint, was able to turn around and just have a nice layup in. So those are kind of the 2 aspects that I felt like, spacing and patience for Kamwa.
No, I think you're dead on the money with both of them, and his touch was good around the rim. We know he has pretty good. That's one of the things he does better with that 5-10 foot fadeaway. But I thought he played really strong around the rim too. And granted, Texas does not have a very physical front court. It's probably the biggest weakness of its team.
Yeah.
But Kamwa took advantage of it, and for a guy that really, I think inconsistency has probably been the story of his career. You see, he's developed a ton. You see flashes of it, but it doesn't seem like he can put it together all at once. Tonight he put it together all at once, and Rick Barnes was kind of left speechless when I asked him, what do you do to try to get him to do this consistently? He'll search for that, but certainly I think it starts on the practice floor, where he had a phenomenal practice on Friday.
Yeah, they said that was a huge reason for kind of this very productive game. Just had the right energy yesterday, carried that into today. I think it was a really impressive performance by him. After the game, first off, let's go back a little bit. 12 hours ago, it seems like College Game Day was right here in the arena. But not just College Game Day. Tennessee's whole team was here. They came out and they did a whole one fly, we all fly dunk routine. That kind of caught me off guard. But Zakai Ziegler also had an interview on ESPN during this whole thing. I asked him after the game, I said, was there any kind of pressure that built up throughout the day because of the game day, because of the national TV? And then they were able to come out and just be so dominant today with a double-digit win. He said, no, it's just kind of business as usual. And that answer didn't surprise me, just kind of knowing the mentality and the mindset of Tennessee's team. But there was a lot going into this game. It was a packed house. There was game day this morning. There were a lot of eyes on this game, with it being, really the main event of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Man, he came out today and performed like he has been doing the past couple games. Yeah,
I mean, once again, he was brilliant. 3rd double-double of the season. All 3 of them have, well, I guess this was an SEC game. All 3 of them come since SEC play has begun. And then he, just the way he's filling out the game right now, earlier in some games that he started, I feel like he's come out just 150%, guns a-blazing to start the game, and he plays a little bit out of control. He has to find a rhythm. Tonight, he was patient. He only taken 1 shot 17 minutes into the game, and that was a shot that he was forced to take at the end of a shot clock. Yeah. He got 6 assists in that stretch, turned it over just once, and then boom, he takes over the game in the last 3 minutes of the first half, scores 8 straight for Tennessee, has a big steal, hits some big threes, and again, there's not a ton left to say that I haven't already said over the last couple weeks. He's been brilliant for Tennessee. He's been playing like, man, him and Marcus Sears are both really, really good. One of the 2 best point guards in the SEC. Nobody else is close. He's playing like one of the best point guards in the country right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He really is. I just continue to be impressed at his ability to distribute with the ball. And we talk about it, right? Tennessee doesn't necessarily have a 25-point-per-game score. Granted, they did have one tonight with how good Olivier Comwell was. But a lot of that, again, was kind of the synergy between different players on the offense. It obviously was not just Olivier, but the other guy's ability to get him in the ball, get him into the right space, so on and so forth. I thought that was really impressive. But what else stood out to you with the game here today?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of small things. I didn't think Tennessee played particularly well down the stretch of the game. Obviously, that lead got up to about 20 points, and Texas whittled it down to right north of 10, and it never got to single digits. You never felt like Tennessee was going to lose, but just some sloppiness. And really, that's been rare this year. That's one of the things this team's done really good, or done really well. In games where they're up and they're playing well, they keep foot on the gas. They don't let teams back in it. And again, you never felt like they were going to lose, so I don't want to hammer them for it here, but it wasn't at its best. Some dumb mistakes, fouling three-point shooters, a couple sloppy turnovers. So, and really, just as a whole, I don't think the defense in the second half lived up to their expectations. Granted, I think a lot of that is credit to Texas. They made some really, really difficult shots. Rice, freshman. We heard Seth Greenberg and LaFonso Ellis talk about him yesterday, what a weapon he is to come off the bench. He was really, really talented.
21 points for the Horns.
That boy nice. I mean, he was a really talented scorer. So a lot of it, I should say, was Texas hitting shots, having good offense. But I'm sure with Rick Barnes, we know his standards. When they get in the film room, I'm sure he'll have plenty to be upset about with the defense in the second half.
Yeah, I think so too. And Zakai kind of talked about that after the game as well. He said, hey, look, we know we're not perfect. Yes, we're excited about this win and it's something to build on. But also, you got to be able to go back in and figure out the things that you didn't do particularly well, because this is a top 10 team, right? This is the kind of team that Tennessee is going to need to beat when it matters the most, whether that's next month, whether it's the month after, or so on and so forth. So I think that, yeah, this was a great positioning for this game. I think it was a great kind of do-over maybe from the Kentucky game, just being able to be at home, be on a Saturday, have a packed house, and then get a dominant win. I think that was big for the team. One of the stats that really stood out to me, and we've kind of touched on this throughout the postgame already, but 40 points in the paint for Tennessee compared to just 28 for Texas. Only a 12-point difference, but man, when you have an 11-point win, right, that matters, and I think that Tennessee was really good in the paint tonight. Again, I know we mentioned that already, but stands out that much.
Yeah, no, I mean, the number, I think it was either 17 to 20 or 16 to 19 is what they were at shots at the rim, which is, you might think, well, shots at the rim, they're easy. Shots at the rim, a lot of them are hard, and Tennessee shot pretty well, I thought, at the rim the other night against Georgia, and the numbers I don't remember off the top of my head, but they weren't anything compared to that. So you're right, and I think for as much malign the Thompson Bowling Arena crowd was for their performance a few weeks ago against Kentucky, they were great tonight. It was
rocking.
Packed house, 20 minutes before tip-off, and it was rocking from the start, and what a great college basketball environment. What a great college basketball environment.
Any other kind of final thoughts on the game today?
Really not on the game today. Two more broad thoughts. Tennessee up to number 1 in KenPom with their win. Houston looking a little shaky this afternoon. Alabama gets rolled in Norman, Oklahoma this afternoon. Houston barely skates by. I can't remember who it was they were playing. Average AAC team. Yeah, I don't think Tennessee will jump Houston, but they're number 4 this week. I would think they would jump Alabama and would have maybe even a chance to jump Houston. So it gets harder to move up the closer you get, but I think we're going to see another week of the Vols moving up after this performance.
Yeah, and there's a lot of basketball still left to be played, but obviously a great position right now. I know some people want to go, it's January basketball. Well, it is January, but it's late January, and you just beat a top 10 team, one that does have some familiarity with you, right? With Rodney Terry, the interim coach of Texas right now, with such great familiarity with Rick Barnes as former coaches together on the Texas staff. So, yeah, I understand that this is January, but it's late January, and this was a big win nonetheless.
It's January today, but next time the Vols take the floor, it'll be February 1st. And once you get to February, Rick Barnes called it the month of separation, and he knows this team's talented. I think he believes this team can go really, really far. He's not going to let up pushing them to get him where he wants to.
No doubt about it. That's going to wrap it up for us today, here after the Texas-Tennessee game right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Stay tuned, though, to RockyTopInsider.com, where we will have all of our post-game coverage. We're going to have a lot of stuff. We're going to have articles. We're going to have things that the players and the coaches said after the game. We're going to have we're going to have arena videos. It's It's going to be an absolutely packed house, so make sure you're checking out RockyTopInsider.com. Otherwise, you can follow Ryan Shumpert at rshump00 on Twitter. You can follow myself on Twitter at Rick_Butler. But again, make sure you're locking in with Rocky Top Insider each and every day as we continue to carry you through this Tennessee basketball season as it is really starting to pick up pace. Like you said, Ryan, the next time we see Tennessee on the court, it will be February, and we all know what comes after February. It's the big time when you get to March. That's going to wrap it up for us, though. Ryan, thank you very much for your help. It was a victory today for number 4 Tennessee over number 10 Texas by a score of 82-71. For Ryan Shumpert, I'm Rick Butler. We'll see you back for the next one. Thanks for listening to the Rocky Top Insider postgame.